Hello and welcome to Connor's EFL Corner here on How Did They Play the Football podcast. As we reach the end of another thrilling season in the Football League in England, there is so much for us to talk about and so much for us to dissect as we go through the Championship, League One, League Two, and also that very, very important match in the National League to get into League Two. And that is where we are going to start today's episode. We've spoken so many times on How Did They Play This Week, our review podcast where we discuss the big events of the weekend just gone about this battle between York City and Rochdale down in the National League. It's been incredibly close all season, and going into this final day, there were only 2 points in it, with York sitting on 107 and Rochdale on 105. And of course, Rochdale hosted York in that final game of the season. The game itself, for a very, very long period of time, very little in it. Very little that was actually going on. Lots of yellow cards. Changes were being made frequently towards the end so that Rochdale, they needed that win. That was the only way they were going to secure promotion as champions into League Two. They needed to go for the win and get the win. They absolutely nearly did. They really went for it. 95th minute, Emmanuel Disaruvwe scoring the goal for Rochdale to put them in front. And at this point, everybody thought it was over. They thought it was done. The Rochdale fans were on the pitch. They were going crazy. Okay, they thought this match was done. They thought it was over. Now, because of this, huge stoppages in play meant the referee had to add more time on. And of course, the unthinkable then happened. York go and score themselves an equaliser. Controversial, lots of controversy, lots of questions being asked as to whether it did cross the line or not, but the referee and the linesman came to the conclusion that it did, and York managed to get themselves the point being enough to see them win the National League title and go up to League Two as champions. A fantastic season for both clubs, which York have just managed to get over the line and just get there in the end. Rochdale, though, the playoffs now is for them. Will they make it into League Two? I mean, there are some great sides in those playoffs as well. Carlisle are in there. They've had a decent season under Mark Hughes, finishing in third place. Forest Green, managed by Robbie Savage, they're in there as well. They obviously wanting to get themselves back into the Football League again. So it'll be very, very interesting to see how those playoffs end up. But congratulations to York City on their promotion as champions to League Two, back into the Football League after quite a lengthy absence and some time spent there in the National League. So that was the big talking point from the National League at the weekend. The relegation spots had already been decided. The playoff spots had already been determined too. It was just who was going to get over the line at the top of the table. And as I say, it was York who managed to do that with a goal in the 103rd minute of the game. We'll move up now into League Two, which is where York will be playing their football next season. Again, some big things that still need to be decided as we head into the final weekend of the season. The weekend just gone, MK Dons have got themselves promoted, a very, very comfortable home win for them on Saturday that sees them go back up to League One. But they've still got a fight on their hands. It is still between MK Dons and Bromley as to who will go up as the League Two champions. MK Dons currently have the slight advantage, sitting top on 85 points, with Bromley in second place on 84. The last game of the season, Bromley are at home to Walsall, who have been, very hit and miss again. Walsall started this season well. They were up there, and just like they did last year, they soon fell off, ended up sacking Matt Sadler. Darren Byfield has come in as the caretaker manager until the end of the season and has done okay in his time there. It's been fairly average, really, and they've dropped out of those playoff contentions. So they go to Bromley on the last day of the season, whilst MK Dons travel to Fleetwood. Fleetwood have also got absolutely nothing to play for this season now. They are not going to be going down. They are not going to be getting the playoffs. It's that mid-table obscurity. So an interesting battle for the top spot in League Two. As for who will get that third automatic promotion spot, well, it's between Cambridge, Salford and Notts County. Those are the sides left fighting it out going into this final day. Cambridge currently sit in third, with Salford a point behind them and Notts County a further point then behind Cambridge, so all to play for that third and final automatic promotion spot. The playoffs, again, they have not yet fully been decided yet, so Grimsby, Chesterfield, Swindon and Barnet are fighting it out for the final playoff spots in League Two. Grimsby have had a few games in hand in recent weeks that they've managed to get some good results in and have now found themselves up in 6th place. Chesterfield currently clinging on to 7th. Swindon are just behind Chesterfield, and Ian Holloway will certainly be looking to get that Swindon side into the playoffs in an attempt to take them up to League One. And then Barnet just seemed to have come from absolutely nowhere. A team that, for me, looked quite average at the start of this season, have continued to grind out result after result after result and could see themselves sneak into the playoffs in that final game of the season. Barnet, for me, I think probably had the result of the weekend this week just gone. 6-2 winners over Gareth Ainsworth's Gillingham. Now, as a Shrewsbury supporter, that fills me with great joy after the way Gareth Ainsworth left Shrewsbury Town. So to see them get absolutely turned over by Barnet, to see the supporters maybe beginning to turn on Ainsworth's time at Gillingham, well, some would say karma does sting quite bad. An amazing thing in that Barnet versus Gillingham game was 5 of the 6 Barnet goals scored by the same player. Callum Stead netting a hat-trick within 16 minutes of that game starting. He scored his 4th by the half-hour mark and added his 5th, and then Barnet's 6th in the 70th minute in that game. A fantastic result and a fantastic performance from him, netting 5 of those 6 goals in that game there. League Two is a very interesting one, though, because there is still lots to play for in that automatic promotion spot and those playoff spots, but also at the bottom of the table, the relegation battle continues in this final game week of the season. Barrow currently sit bottom of the league on 36 points. They look as if they are potentially doomed. They've had a number of managers this season. None have quite worked out how they would have liked, and they are in real trouble going into the final day. Harrogate sit just above them in 23rd on 39. Crawley are in 22nd, also on 39. And then Newport and Tranmere occupy the 2 spaces above them on 40. Now, what's really interesting about these teams' final fixtures of the season is every team they are playing against still has something to fight for, which means these games could be fantastic watches for the neutrals. Barrow host Newport in what we've been talking about on the pod for a number of episodes now. We've mentioned that last game of the season between Barrow and Newport and how close it could be. Newport had a 3-2 win over Oldham on Saturday. The winning goal in that game coming in the 109th minute for Newport, so leaving it really late. It means Barrow can't catch Newport. Barrow can only catch Harrogate and Crawley. So very interesting in that game. Newport still need the points to move themselves away from Harrogate and Crawley, who are currently both tied on 39 points. So that will be a really interesting watch. Harrogate then are at home to Barnet. As I've just mentioned, Barnet still fighting out for that, or for one of those final playoff spots. Barnet with a lot to play for, Harrogate for survival in the Football League to play for. Crawley host Salford. Salford are desperately trying to get that automatic promotion spot to try and avoid the playoffs again and get themselves straight up. So it'll be really interesting to see how that game unfolds there. Newport obviously travel to Barrow, as I've mentioned already, and Tranmere host Grimsby. Grimsby looking to secure their playoff spot and ensure that they are fighting it out then to go up to League One in those playoff semi-finals. So lots still to play for in League Two on this final weekend of the season. It will be an intriguing watch to see how those teams fare. Just delving in then to Shrewsbury Town and their performance at the weekend. It was their final home game of the season where they hosted Fleetwood Town, and so I decided I'd make the trip to that game to see them for the final time at home in what has been really quite a poor season. Started poorly under Michael Appleton and just didn't seem to get any better under him. He was sacked, Gav Cowan came in, and to be fair to him, Jamie Haynes, Dave Edwards that have come in, went through a spell where they really, really revitalised the players and the club. We went on a fantastic run of games where we were picking up wins to move ourselves out of trouble, and we ended up securing safety then with 3 games to spare. At the weekend, it was very, very obvious that game was a dead rubber. If you were to watch that game knowing absolutely nothing about the two teams' situations in the league going into the final games, you could probably have guessed there was nothing on the line for either side. Very slow paced, it looked like it could have almost been a testimonial match with the way some of the football was being played. Sparked into life through Fleetwood taking the lead through an own goal from Taylor Perry, and it was 1-0 at half time. Shrewsbury looked poor. We looked like there was no way of getting back into the game. In the second half, then went 2-0 down. Some poor defending cost us, a lapse in concentration where we just allowed Fleetwood too much time on the ball to get a cross in, and the finish was quite a tidy finish to put them 2-0 up. And all of a sudden, we spurred into life. We started to actually go for it. We started to play a bit of football and really look to make an effort. And Josh Ruffles got us back into the game with a prodded finish from inside the box. And then somehow, from somewhere, and when I say from somewhere, I mean from 30 yards out, Ismail Kabia, on loan from Arsenal, one of the very few bright sparks, I would say, for Shrewsbury Town this season. Fleetwood failed to deal with a ball into the box properly and just sort of knock it out. And it comes to Ismail Kabia, who just unleashes a rocket into the back of the net. The Fleetwood goalkeeper could just stand and watch it go in, and the place erupted. It was an unbelievable strike. If you've not already seen it, you'll see it all. It's been all over social media. The EFL have been posting about it over the weekend as one of the goals of the weekend. It is an incredible strike that finds the back of the net. So rescuing ourselves, getting a 2-2 draw in the end. I think it's certainly going to be an interesting summer for Shrewsbury. We'll see. I imagine lots of players leave the club and hopefully lots of players coming into the club as well. Final game of the season, we do travel to Gareth Ainsworth's Gillingham, where if we can get a win there, we will finish above them, which again will be a very, very sweet moment for Shrewsbury Town supporters after the way in which Gareth Ainsworth left the football club towards the end of last season. So that's the League 2 roundup. Let's go up now to League 1. So the race to stay up is still incredibly close in League 1. Exeter sit on 49 in the relegation zone currently. Port Vale, Rotherham and Northampton are already down. Leyton Orient sit just above them on 51 and Peterborough are above them on 52 points. Now Peterborough have still got a game in hand to play. That takes place on Wednesday night, I believe. So a point in that game would see Peterborough safe and would mean then it's Exeter or Leyton Orient who will take that final relegation spot. Just 2 points separates them, so that final game for both clubs is going to be a very, very crucial one. There are still, though, places to be decided in the playoff spots. Bolton have secured their space. They have definitely got a playoff spot. However, still trying to sneak in. Stockport sit on 74 points along with Bradford. Stevenage are on 72. Then you've got Luton on 71 and Plymouth on 70, just outside those playoff places, with one game left for Stevenage, Luton and Plymouth. Which of those will make it into that top 6? Again, should prove to be a very, very interesting final day of the season, just like in League 2, with those places still up for grabs. Those clubs will certainly be looking to nail on a spot in the playoffs. Stockport, Bradford and Stevenage, most certainly, they've been up and around there all season and they would really, really hate to lose that spot now. Luton and Plymouth, I mean, certainly Plymouth started really, really poorly, down in the bottom 4 for a long part of the start of the season. The fans were calling for Tom Cleverley to be sacked. The board, quite bravely, I think, at the time came out and backed him and said that he would be remaining as the head coach of the club. They had every faith in him. They had a plan in place, and you can't knock that. He certainly turned their form around and their performances, and Plymouth do now stand a chance of making the playoffs on that final day. So again, lots still to play for in League 1 as clubs try to avoid dropping into League 2, and other clubs are looking to try and get themselves a place in the Championship next season. And as for the Championship, well, Coventry have already wrapped up the league title. A fantastic season for them. They got a 3-1 win over Wrexham on Sunday, which has put a little bit of a dent in Wrexham's playoffs hopes. That final playoff spot still to play for on the final day. Wrexham currently sit in there just above Hull. Hull have started to choke a little bit in recent weeks, not picking up the results they would want. But that was going to go down to the final day, and Derby are lurking just behind Hull. They could still sneak into those playoff places, which they'll be hoping to do under the leadership of John Eustace, who has done a fantastic job going into the club there, turning things around and turning them into playoff contenders. Oxford have been officially relegated from the Championship. That was decided before they'd even kicked a ball on Saturday afternoon. They did then go on to beat Sheffield Wednesday very, very comfortably. So some bright signs for Oxford in terms of looking to bounce back next season and go straight back up from League One. Matt Bloomfield in charge there has picked up results since he's gone into the club and certainly made it a little bit closer, I think, in terms of where they have ended up finished points-wise from the clubs above them. So I think they've got every chance probably of having quite a successful year next year and likely to bounce straight back up. And then we get to that final, or the second automatic promotion spot, second place in the Championship. Who's going to get it? Does anybody actually want it? It doesn't look like it. Millwall only managed to draw away at relegated Leicester on Friday night. A win would have seen them get another couple of points to push them further into that hunt. Ipswich could only manage a draw at West Brom Saturday lunchtime, so not picking up the points that they need there to really try and firm up their position in second spot. And so huge game comes on Tuesday night, Southampton versus Ipswich. A Southampton win is the only way in which they can still secure second place on the final day of the season. Should they lose or draw that game, they will not be able to go up automatically, and so will be fighting it out in the playoffs to look to be promoted back to the Premier League. An Ipswich win there will see them move again a little bit further away from Millwall, but Millwall will still have a chance on the final day. So again, some really, really interesting matches to come in the Championship. That Southampton-Ipswich game, as I say, really, really important. An Ipswich win would see them move 3 points clear of Millwall with a game left to play. Their goal difference is significantly higher than Millwall's as well, so would look to almost secure Ipswich's place in the Premier League again next season. Going into that final day that could be so crucial in the Championship, Ipswich are at home to QPR. Millwall host already relegated Oxford, and Southampton have a trip away at Preston. So it'll be really, really interesting to see which way those results go after the result that will come on Tuesday night. In terms of those playoff places that I mentioned before, Derby are at home to Sheffield United. Derby are at home to Hull City, are at home to Norwich City. Norwich have picked up some form under Philippe Clement and have turned their beginning of the season woes around and are going to finish very respectively in that top 10. And then that final space that could be Wrexham's, they're at home to Middlesbrough. Now, Middlesbrough have already secured their playoff place. So the big talking point there is, does the manager, Kim Hellberg, decide that he's going to rest players in preparation for the playoffs and look to really focus his side on that? Or do they go to Wrexham and look to prevent them from making the playoffs? Whatever happens, there is bound to be entertainment. There is bound to be a ton of goals and quite possibly some controversial topics of conversation as well. There's my roundup. That's my EFL corner this week as we head into this final game week of fixtures. Tune in next time on Connor's EFL Corner, where we will round up the season in the Championship, League One and League Two and look ahead to the playoffs. Take care.